Good morning and welcome back to Morning Live. Now, this past weekend, there has been a lot of good as well as bad news when it comes to the sport of rugby. And to help us reflect on some of the important news stories of the past week, we've roped in News 24 senior sports reporter Sibusisio Mjikeliso. Good morning, Sbu. Thank you so much for joining us on Sports on Morning Live.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
So let's start and talk about the Sevens World Cup. It really is a performance to forget, particularly from a South African perspective, but it's also an important one because it was the last dance for Coach Neil Powell. Just perhaps talk us through your thoughts on his tenure at the Blitzbokke.
Yeah, you have to say it did not end exactly how he would have liked. It kind of typified his final season, really, which was characterized by loads of inconsistency. The season began with a 36-match winning streak, which is a South African record. When that was broken, then they started having a run of poor results. They lost in the group stages for the first time in a tournament under Neil Powell. That was in Marseille in France. And then again, when they had the chance to win the series in LA, they bombed out in the group stages. But in between then, they won the Commonwealth Gold. So it hasn't been all so bad, even though at the end, at the Rugby World Cup Sevens, you would have liked really to at least make the semifinals, maybe make a push to the final. It wasn't to be. They lost in their second game against Ireland, a shock result. And that was it. At least they got a win against Samoa in the final game, which for me is like a small consolation. But what an era, what a period since taking over from Paul True in 2013 and continuing the tradition of winning sevens. He won three sevens titles. He won an Olympic bronze. He won two Commonwealth golds, and really took it a step further on top of Paul True's really, really good foundations and systems that were set in sevens rugby.
And we know now that Neil will be replaced by former Blitzbokke himself, Sandile Ngcobo. Perhaps just give us a little bit more insight on Sandile. And while you answer that question for me, give us a bit of an update as well on Vuyozanga, because at some point in time, what is he up to now? At some point in time, he did seem like he would almost be a perfect fit for this particular role.
Yeah, look, Sandy Ngcobo is the chosen one to succeed Neil Powell. It's a huge, huge, huge shoes to fill. He comes from the SA Sevens Academy. He was a head coach there, appointed in 2021. He was an assistant there. He's assisted in the women's sevens team as well. But before then, he also played sevens, of course, winning two titles with Neil Powell, as well as Philip Snyman, who is his assistant coach right now. Philip Snyman was, in fact, the captain on both those times when the Blitzboks won the seven series titles. Very fit, stocky, quick player, played scrum half as a junior, played all junior levels at the Lions, also could play wing under 13, under 16, under 18 and under 21s, played sevens for the Lions, played for Falcons in the Currie Cup, Griquas, and played club rugby. He's really been through the rugby mill, and he gets his opportunity now to lead one of the flagship South African rugby team. It's a huge appointment by SA Rugby. It's a huge show of faith in a black African. He's not the first. Norman Biko did lead a South African sevens team before, but certainly in the new era, in the modern era, he's the first African black full-time coach. Since Norman Biko took that post. And as for Vuyozanga, he was in Russia. He was coaching the Russia national sevens team. I'm not 100% sure as to what he'd be up to now. Since the conflict with Ukraine, Russia has been frozen out of international competition. He was at the sevens. Unfortunately, I was not there. I would have loved to catch up with him. But he's another guy that could be roped back into the system in South Africa. He was assistant to Paul True for many, many years, knows that system. He played sevens, obviously one of the most attacking players that we have ever produced in the game. And he knows the game. Obviously, he's been in head coaching jobs before. So I think he needs to be roped into the South African system.
And I cannot have this conversation with you, Sbu, without talking about the elephant in the room, the Alton Yankees saga at the moment. What is Sorry's position? Has he just been sent home on compassionate leave? And I mean, where are they in this matter? Because we know that you've been covering this story. Because this incident took place long before he was actually sent home. He was still part of the team after the incident took place.
Yeah, look, the company line from SA Rugby at the moment is that they've been released home from Argentina, him and Zinat Simji, the team dietitian, to sort out their personal affairs. They've said that no team protocols were breached, so we don't know, we can't go over and above what they're telling us. But obviously, we don't know further from that whether there will be or there won't be any disciplinary action. For at least bringing the organization SA Rugby and the Springboks into disrepute. These allegations surfaced in the media, in the newspapers, and they've been the talk of the country, perhaps the world even, ever since. And obviously, any company that wants their image to be upheld high, any brand like the Springboks, which carries a lot of weight, will take a dim view on the latest reporting. Even if there's allegations that's still to be proven, you don't want to associate the brand, you don't want to associate the company, the team you play for, the World Cup winning champions, with such allegations. But it's one of those things in sport. Something explosive blows up, and crisis management has to happen, but on the side of SA Rugby. I worry though, it might be one of those combustible incidents that might derail the team in Argentina. They're in Buenos Aires, and they're playing in the Rugby Championship on Saturday night. So they need to win the game to stay in Rugby Championship contention.
Sbu, thank you so much for your time this morning. We have unfortunately run out of time, but do have a blessed day ahead.
Thanks for having me.
That is Sibusisio Mjikeliso, News 24 senior sports reporter. We did still want to touch on that rugby championship encounter that South Africa has against Argentina, but unfortunately we did run out of time. Time now for an ad break. Do stay tuned. Morning Live will be back with you shortly.